Hey there everybody, Sage Apopum here, founder of the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. And I talk a lot about the new paradigm of plant medicine. And if there's one thing that I think is an integral part of this next phase in the evolution of herbal medicine, it's that more and more people are wanting to address healing beyond the body, that people are wanting to incorporate tending to people's psychological and emotional dynamics in their healing process and work with herbs, as well as facilitating in people's personal growth, development, and spiritual evolution. And I think this integration of a psychological element into our work with plants is critically important. From holistic perspective of medicine, the psyche and the body are not separate. And I think this is one of the big issues that we see in kind of the modern biomedical paradigm. It's that we see physiology and psychology as being separate, right? That we don't really address the psychological implications behind physiological disease, nor do we consider potential physiological components behind what we might refer to as psychological disorders or imbalances like ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety, things like that. That there's this separation that is very commonly occurs in terms of the way people approach working with people. And to me, the new paradigm of herbal medicine is all about this integration of physiology and psychology with the soul. And from an alchemical perspective, they say that our psychology, the nature of our mind, the structure of our psyche, is represented by what they refer to as Mercury, right? It's the mercurial component of who we are. And the Mercury, we refer to it as the spirit, and in that way there's a relationship to the vital force of the animating intelligence of the body and our whole being, but it also relates to our psyche, right? Our thought patterns and our emotional dynamics are represented by that mercurial layer of the self. And it's said that Mercury is the vehicle through which the sulfur operates through to enter into the salt or the physical body. And that sulfur, they say, is the soul. It's like your karmic patterns, your ancestral patterns, it's your genetics, your epigenetics, the core of who you are, your unique consciousness and embodiment of that life force is that sulfur. It's kind of your unique you, who you are. And that manifests into Mercury and kind of encodes the nature and structure of the psyche, your thoughts and your feelings, which then directly influence your salt, your body, your physiology. And in this way, I think it's important that we consider our psyche, our psychological structures, as being relaying the messages of the soul that are informing us of where we can grow, right? How we can become better human beings, how we can maybe think a little bit differently, how we can feel a little bit better, that we can have that positive, uplifted spirit, right? That Mercury, we're going to think positively and feel positively and ultimately have a wholeness within our psyche. But one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of herbalists or alternative practitioners is that oftentimes, working with someone's psyche is a very intuitive process for people. That perhaps, as an herbalist, they're working with someone and someone's talking about their life and, their mind and their heart and maybe things they struggle with. And they just solely kind of rely on their intuition to determine what type of remedy is going to be most beneficial for them. And while I think that's great, like intuition is an incredibly important facet of intake and assessment, working with people, working with plants. So I don't want you to get me wrong here and think that I'm bashing on intuition, but for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know I'm all about the intuitive aspect of healing. But I think intuition that's separate from the mind, from the intellect, from a rational system, has potentials of being maybe even dangerous. I know it's a strong word. I may get bashed for that, but I think just hear me out, because I think what's important is that when we're working with someone's psyche, that we're not just relying on intuition to determine what's going on with them, as well as to determine what plants might be most beneficial for them. I think what is an incredibly valuable thing for an herbalist that's wanting to work in this way is to have a sort of system for understanding and assessing someone's psyche. And one of the oldest, most traditional, ancient forms of understanding the psyche is astrology. And one of the things that's so cool about the astrological model is that it's a nature-based system of psychology, right? And it's, we're understanding the baseline structure of our psychological self as being a reflection or a mirror of the underlying structure of our solar system. And so in astrology, we see that there are 7 primary psychological qualities that all of us have that are related to those 7 inner planets of astrology. We also have an embodiment of kind of these larger archetypal patterns in our spirit and in our individuality that are represented by those 3 outer planets that kind of govern more generational dynamics within the culture at large. But those 7 planets, those inner planets, really represent the core structure of our psyche. So, and we all have them, right? We all have a sun, a core persona, a core essential nature. We all have a Mercury, a psychological quality, our analytical mind, our rationality. We all have a lunar side, right? Our feelings, our emotions, our unconscious, our kind of the way we experience ourself. We all have a Venusian quality, our relationships in our lives, how we relate to others, how our aesthetic sense, our creativity. We all have a Mars, willpower and action and how we move out through the world. We all have a Jupiter, goals, dreams, aspirations, visions, something that we're moving towards. And we all have a Saturn. We all have, discipline and structure and foundation and things that need to kind of contain us in our lives. And from an astrological perspective, some of these planets we have very well integrated, right? That we resonate with them, we embody and express them in a very healthy way. And other of these planets, maybe not so much, right? Maybe we don't fully resonate with their influence. We haven't integrated and embodied their teachings and their highest virtues. And those indicate the places in our psyche where we get stuck, where we have a hard time, where maybe we express more of the shadow side of that planet as compared to the more evolved or higher expression of that planetary quality. So for an herbalist, this provides an incredible structure for assessing the psyche, so that when you're talking with someone and they're sharing about their life and what they struggle with, you're kind of listening to the words that they're saying. You're listening to how they express themselves, and what they're saying and how they're expressing is going to relate to some of these planets. Maybe someone always has struggles in their relationships and they just can't, find that partner. They feel really lonely, or relationships never work out, or, they're having a hard time. Well, maybe something is going on with their Venus, or maybe someone feels like they can't express themselves or communicate clear. Their mind feels scattered and overwhelmed. Maybe something's going on with their Mercury. Maybe someone doesn't have any willpower or drive or action, and they just can't get out of bed in the morning, right? Maybe something's going on with Mars. And what's so cool about this is that with astroherbalism, you understand the wholeness of the person. You're able to see into the underlying structure of their psyche and how it's influencing their physiology, their organ systems, their constitutions. But now you also translate that to your plants, because you understand and classify your plants according to those astrological patterns. So you're then able to match Venus plants to the Venus person, Mars plants to the Mars person, and you're able to use those remedies in a way that's going to address the root of the issue that they're having, whether that's in the body or in the mind or in the soul. You're able to utilize those plants to address the wholeness of the person. And I think this is a very important contribution that medical astrology and modern psychological astrology makes to the practicing herbalist, because it gives you one system, right? One model, one system that equally encompasses the body, the psyche, as well as the soul, and a way to understand the wholeness of the plants and how they're going to affect the wholeness of the person. And so I just wanted to share that, because I think the coupling of an intellectual system, a rational system of astrology for understanding the psyche, linking that to the intuitive, heart-based way that we can work with a person and kind of feel into what's going on with them. When those come together, the heart and the mind, the intellect and the intuition, when those come together, you will be astounded at the precision, the accuracy, and ultimately the healing results that you're going to get, whether you're working with yourself, your family, your community, your clinic, whatever that looks like. This synergy of medical astrology and herbalism is incredibly specific and refined in its abilities to, again, address the wholeness of the person through the wholeness of the plants and their relationship to the wholeness of the cosmos. So if you want to learn more about this synergy of astrology and herbalism, I want to tell you about the Astroherbalism mini course. This is a totally free mini course that we're offering at this time that's outlining for you exactly how astrology and herbalism stitch together to create a truly holistic model of herbalism that leads you to a system of preventative medicine and transformational healing. This mini course is covering everything from assessing your birth chart, understanding your constitution, your predispositions to disease, to how the planets and plants are connected, to the primary ways that medical astrology will enhance your work with plants, your work with people, to make you ultimately a more effective herbalist. So click the link on this page somewhere and put your name and email on the page that it takes you to get the Astroherbalism mini course. This is totally free. I've got a bunch of really awesome PDF downloads and video training for you in there. I look forward to reading your questions and comments. I'm going to be in there answering them myself personally. So be sure to sign up for the Astroherbalism mini course, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're or listening to the podcast, if you're anywhere except for our blog, be sure to head on over to evolutionaryherbalism.com, where you can get into the Astroherbalism mini course right now for free. And I look forward to seeing you in there. So thanks so much, everybody. I'm Sage Popham, and until next time, take care and be well.